Salutations, friends, and welcome to a brand new series. It's a brand new year, brand new time. It's the Rally Cry Collegiate series, and this is all about Rocket League, baby. I'm Relic. I'm joined by my good friend Galgan, and look, it's right there in the name, Galgan. It's Collegiate, and that means all hell is about to break loose over the next 2 months or so.
But that's the thing, it's the best possible time for it. The scene has been aching to see some of these rosters in action in the collegiate scene, and what better place to have that happen. I'm so glad to be here. We're kicking off the first of 5 weeks of competition here for these teams to try and pull something through, and like I said, they need all the competition they can get going into this spring semester. This is just another spot for them to get those reps in against some solid competition, because some of the schools in here, Relic, are really here to win it all.
They most certainly are, and we will touch upon them in a little bit. But just to backtrack a little bit, 5 weeks, as you say, but what do those 5 weeks consist of? Well, this isn't exactly the Price is Right, but points do mean prizes at the end of the day. Each week for the first 4 weeks, it's a new bracket every single weekend, 2 days of action. And at the end of it all, you want to find yourself in that first place, because first place guarantees you 100 points. It goes all the way down to, I believe, 17th in the bracket. And ultimately, you're trying to get into that 5th week playoff bracket, Galgun, where you're going to be fighting it out for a slice of that $6,000 prize pool.
It's a beautiful thing to see. Several game titles as well across the Rally Cry Collegiate Series presented by the Army National Guard. You can see we've got other action going on elsewhere, but we're setting it up on Rocket League. Players vying for a slice, as you say, of that $6,000 prize pool, or exactly 6 of the 100 Thieves X Pokemon Letterman jackets. I mean, I imagine they'll be spending their prize pool on something a bit more tangible, but that's up to the players to decide, and they've got to win the Rocket League games first.
Topical. And shots fired. But listen, the shots are going to be firing in very quick order, folks, because we already have our first match set up and ready to go. And I love the start of any new season of anything, Galgan, because it means that it's a fresh slate for everybody. And for the likes of the Drexel Dragons and UT Dallas, these two teams find themselves relatively middle of the road in regards to the seeding. But for UT Dallas especially, they have quite a story to tell.
Right. It's certainly a bit more of a question mark for Drexel, as you put it, but UT Dallas, a somewhat known quantity. You have to look back to the previous semester of league play for CRL. UT Dallas attempted to qualify on the western side. They played through both open qualifiers. In the first, they had to face Columbia College in order to make it through, and nearly reverse swept them, but nearly did not cut it enough. And UT Dallas had to go into qualifier number 2, where they then met up with UT Arlington in the qualifier match. And wouldn't you know it, 5 games later, UT Dallas find themselves out of a spot in Western League play. Twice the bridesmaid, never the bride, but could the Rally Cry Collegiate Series be the difference maker?
Yeah, they have, if you go by the seeding, the slight advantage to Dez, Zora, and Dalton. I think Dalton really the name that sticks out to me the most there. But the Drexel Dragons, I mean, here's the thing. It's a wild card. There's a lot of teams here that we know a lot about. There's some teams maybe not so much. And for Zerf, Baron, and Lush, and Kevin potentially on the subs, well, they're looking to make an instant impact. Unfortunately, the instant impact was made Galgan. Unfortunately, it was against them.
And it's just 6 seconds. All it takes. Dez gets things going. Plenty of bumps terrorizing the goal line. And buckle in, everybody, because we mentioned it's a new bracket every single week, and you thought maybe we'd start quickly and ramp up. No, it's best of 7 right off the rip. Ooh. Teams have to be ready to play at their best from the jump.
That was almost a rather spectacular first goal for Dalton on the board there. Just seconds after the first one goes in, of course, it's all fair and well to score that first, but as we all know in Rocket League, 1 is never enough, is it? And this a potential setup now. Kevin looks for the drop down. Dangerous as Dalton uses their own woodwork, essentially, to try and get it away, but still no, off the crossbar. Kevin, they keep hitting the woodwork. Pixel, please, get the compass out because you need some directions.
Oh, still like how they're looking early on. There's the bump on the back wall. X will get us started, and a tie game to see it through in the opening minute. Great delayed touch as well, playing it slow against expectations. Dalton granted no quarter, and we're all square.
I gotta say, shout out to the Rocket League side swipe. Wow, I have not seen that in a solid year. Remember when that game happened? I sure do. The Dalton's looking to now try and make up and make amends. He does, bumped out the way, unable to save one goal down his own end, but finally gets his first of the campaign. A bit of a misplaced mispass.
Oh, and it's UT Dallas taking swipe after swipe at the defense, and I think that's what creates so much pressure for Drexel. They're not in a comfortable position. Are those the buckboard wheels I saw in that offense from Dev? What a decision there.
It's so off-putting. Maybe that's part of the game plan. Maybe that's sort of the idea, is to try and get into the head of your opponents. And then certainly, I like what I'm seeing from Drexel overall, Galgan. I think especially when you go 1-0 down so early on, that can be quite demoralizing. But they've actually hung in there pretty efficiently. Defensively, still a little bit shoestring budget there. But hey, still a 1-goal game, so plenty of time left to go.
There's plenty to be played into here for Drexel, but there's a bit of a pace difference starting to emerge, and they've really got to watch themselves. Backline being terrorized right now. Dez goes up for the shot. Baron with the save. Plenty of time to play with this one from the corner, but decides to go quickly, and that is where Luby is just waiting ever so patiently to keep that ball present to the issue for UT Dallas. Shot after shot comes through. They're going to be rewarded with the hard push.
And I love this from Dalton. He sees that Kevin's a little bit ponderous there, just completely slams in on the brakes, and that sets up perfectly for Dez, who goes far corner. A little bit of accuracy, a little bit too much power on that, and it goes a tad wide off the woodwork again. Already been tickled a couple of times in this game, but now off the kickoff, looking for number 4. Oh, and there is the woodwork coming into action yet again.
Certainly been one of the most valuable defenders for Drexel thus far, but how much longer can they rely on it? Well, we'll have to try and make the difference on the other end of the field. It's X to take to the skies. Still early goings here in game 1. Dalton screams back the other way on the counter, and it's immediately centralized, which makes Drexel realize, again, this pace difference. Got to come out on top. Make sure that you've got possession of the ball. Tall task against UT Dallas. They've been doing a really solid job of locking down, keeping space between each other, and making sure somebody makes contact, but that's not the contact you want, and X punishes.
I call the Kaiser Chiefs because I'm pretty sure his team was shouting, "Luby, Luby, Luby!" Oh, big miscommunication, and to be fair, difficult there because of the miscommunication. Goes off the backboard rather than heading through the corner a little bit more directly. And as we head towards halftime, we're just on the cusp of it now. We just invites Drexel back into the game yet again. 1 goal left.
It's Baron to take to the skies first, picked off. Decent challenge, though, at least sees it to the corner, so UT Dallas can't immediately capitalize, but I don't think they're too worried about it. Another shot goes on target. Kevin with the save aside, a name we're waiting to see on the offensive side, but it's all X all day long. A hat trick here with 2:12 to play.
1 goal left to find, and boy, did they find it. Big transition. Didn't even need the extra help from Baron. In fact, it's set up perfectly, put away by X. Not the website, of course, the artist formerly known as Twitter. And that's got to be real disappointing for UT Dallas. Such a strong start, and even though there was an equalizer, finding another quick response, and yet Drexel Dragons continuing to put up the assault here. UT Dallas just a little bit ponderous in the midfield. They might have thought it was going to be easier than it has eventually been, Galgan. There's 2 minutes left to try and sort this one out.
But I think these players, much like ourselves, have to temper our expectations a little bit. It's the first game of a best of 7. Plenty to go, and I think both teams are ready to make those quick changes. We're seeing so many transition plays work out. But as long as teams can get the defensive stance going, hard to do for UT Dallas with a double demo against them, but they still see a consistent push out and a challenge at the midfield, which gets them possession, if even for a brief moment. It's going to be the development to watch as the series goes on. Which team is going to be able to stand the defensive test of time, and which team will be able to come out on top on the counterattacks that continue to reign heavy in this first game.
A bit too much mustard from Dalton there, and nicks it off the top of Luby, his own teammate, allowing for the clearance here from Drexel Dragons. Dez stands up tall in the midfield, and X wins this 50. The charge forward for Drexel Dragons continues, stopped eventually, and here's Baron now to try and reinitialize. Baron going forward, got boost, going to try and smush it up against the backboard, does so nicely, sets up off the side it goes, and X is not able to get onto the scene soon enough, all the way back to square one.
Still a great play that might have all fallen apart. It's a center pass. Now back the other side go Drexel. You like to see that transition and the way that Baron controlled the ball back to the back wall, but as soon as it ricochets off, goes center, immediately there for someone from UT Dallas to shoot. You start to question things. Luby comes through. Now final 30 seconds of the game, still square at 3. Been quite a while since we've seen UT Dallas get in their offensive bag. That could be worrisome if we head to OT and they still haven't found any momentum.
With any new series, you want to make a good impression. I certainly hope the good impression has been made, folks, because what a slobber knocker of a first game this has been. 3-3 heading into affectionately sweet butt time, but there is still overtime to be played as the ball hits the floor. UT Dallas might have taken the early lead, but in order to win this, it's golden goal.
Oh, quick challenge. Baron, it squeaks wide, picks up the back corner boost, and Kevin's up for the shot. Back wall. Where's X? Racing through. You need your golden boot to strike while the iron's hot, but not to be. Drexel will have to back off immediately. Challenge towards the side. Dez to pick it up and try and generate anything here. But UT Dallas, the set plays don't come to fruition immediately, and Drexel all of a sudden exude a whole lot of control over this field, but they cannot test the brick wall in front of the UT Dallas net.
Yeah, the construction hats off because the scaffolding was up quicker than you could say, uh-oh. 38 seconds elapsed, and Luby now with the transition downfield into the hands of Baron. Mercifully so. Up to Kevin, back central, looking for Baron, and I think he was hoping that X was going to continue the run. Instead goes for it himself. All hands to the pump for UT Dallas now as his Dalton. Very frenetic stuff from both sides. Dalton over the top of Kevin, looking for the dunk, but X puts it away.
It's Dez to follow through to the corner. Baron relieves, but now back where it came from. Orso helped Drexel. Kevin looking for a clear and can't win the race with very little boost in the tank. X will take over, however, and tries to clear overall, but uses all the boost in their tank as well. Dalton with a break. It's a 2-on-1. Tries to be the first one to take the shot. The challenge isn't solid enough, and Dez has a difficult time centering that ball as well. UT Dallas, they're starting to wake up a little bit, but Drexel are surely providing a well-deserved wake-up call against UT Dallas, showing that they have the fight.
They have the thieves' tools. Are they going to be able to roll a nat 20? Does seem like a little bit of luck is required for the breakthrough goal, for the winning goal. Here's a breakaway potential, stopped by Dalton. Luby, it's Kevin who wins the race, and off on his bike he goes. Beats Dez to the punch as well. Round the corner, Luby back into crowded territory. X, oh, it's a bit of a miscue. Luby, it's 1v1 against Kevin. Oh, completely sells him. Oh, it's off the line. No, it's not, because Dalton hammers home. UT Dallas with 2 minutes of OT take game 1.
All of the expectations of the players on the field change immediately, and in a game that moves as quickly as this, you can't afford that small moment of hesitation. But who are you going to fault in a situation like that, right? It's an overtime that's just moving back and forth. If anything, Drexel gained the advantage as the game goes on. It had been so long since we had seen UT Dallas with a solid offensive chance. And finally, it takes a masterful 1v1 all the way through to the goal line and a tap home for security. So the first game, done and dusted, UT Dallas the better, but plenty more to be played, and I have a feeling, Relic, Drexel aren't going away any easier than they did here in Game 1.
No, the Dragons certainly weren't dragging their heels, that is to be sure. I think the real final piece of the puzzle that they're trying to look for is that go-ahead goal, really. It felt like they were continually having to fight from a losing position, and I think you're absolutely correct in saying that, look, they had themselves match momentum going into the final couple of minutes. I mean, goodness, they got that third equalizer, or the second equalizer technically, the third goal on their count overall, but they just couldn't find the application when they were in dangerous positions. And because that game opened up massively, that's what's allowed UT Dallas to get back into it. And like you say, just a moment of brilliance from Dez that sets it up on a play for Dalton.
But that's what I'm looking for as well, is on the flip side, the mistakes made by UT Dallas. There weren't many of them, especially not in the beginning stages of that Game 1. But that's the sort of thing that you look for from any Rocket League team, right? Drexel has to be looking out, not just for the moments that benefit them the most, but the moments that really harm UT Dallas. Their setup isn't quite right. Defensively, they don't have boosts in their tanks. Keeping a keen and watchful eye over moments like that is what's going to give Drexel a better chance of scoring while they have the best opportunity.
Dez forward then. No early goal this time around. They're going to have to start from scratch. It's Dalton now in midfield. X tries to readjust. Up again, Luby and Dalton kind of miscommunicating there. Still, the momentum is at least moving forward for them, and X dispossesses Dalton. Bit of a stop-start maneuver here as Drexel Dragons tries to, again, fashion something fanciful, Galkin, but it all comes to pieces.
It's that feels like the difference maker here for Drexel. The set plays from both teams, pieces are there, but just trying to get too cute with the ball. UT Dallas seem like the team that's going to run you down as soon as you try and get that dribble from your own end. Not quite how they need to operate, so I can respect it from a game plan sense and the players knowing that they have the skill to execute something like that. But everybody from UT Dallas has been playing this fast, aggressive, dispossess heavy play style where they take the ball away, try and grab control, and run it to the back wall. It's not going to work if Drexel try to slow roll from the back line and always run into resistance like that.
Dez, ball's going to spike up high here. Dalton looking for Dez yet again, but it's another miscue and a demo for Boot. Luby trying to retain possession, but actually gives it up to Kevin. There's a shot, and the second shot goes high. There's now on the chase, over the top of Baron, a little bit slow, a little bit cumbersome. It's up to Kevin now. Does really well to just sucker in Dalton and transition this into the orange half yet again. X, and still no joy. This UT Dallas defense, you picked up in game one, Galgan, just beautifully handled for the most part, but we're still waiting for that. Oh, God. You know what? Scratch that. Never mind. Drexel take their first lead of the series. Shut up, Mr. Commentator.
You know, they really did just have to show you in that brief moment. on a real note, the point rang true up until the moment where UT Dallas decided that the triangle needed to move to center around the midfield line. That was the first mistake. The second was letting the ball go at the midfield line, and then everything else follows suit. But I know these players know better than that. It just gets caught up when you think the first player has the challenge. Everybody goes up as a cohesive unit, as the team should, and it just doesn't work out. And that's how you end up conceding. But as this series develops, both teams are starting to clam up a little bit more. Play as a closer unit. Right now, UT Dallas, it's working for them, except for that one very tiny moment where it didn't.
It's just a defensive mistake, really. We've not seen too much in the way of bullishness, bullying, just the creative carnage that we like to see in opposition thirds, finding those demos, finding those bump runs, which of course is how Drexel earned one of their 3 goals in game number 1. The demos are certainly frequent here in the midfield, however, and that's really disrupting the game plan for UT Dallas. A passing team that likes to switch it up and go direct sometimes, but Drexel reading them like a book, going down the other end, almost finding a second goal, but the efforts of Luby with a big save.
Bulls maybe quite haven't found the field yet, still on parade. Feels like UT Dallas waking up from hibernation in a sense, but again, that's the thing. Drexel, like, as much as we can tout this as, oh, UT Dallas, we know what these players are capable of. They were 1 game away from making Western League play twice removed, and now they're back with a vengeance. Drexel, on the other hand, like, they've been around the scene. Earlier iterations of CCA events, they've been very relevant as a school. It's a question of what this roster can do right here, right now, in what many could make the argument of being a more competitive Eastern region than that out in the West. But that's an argument for a separate time, perhaps, and later in the tournament. Right now, UT Dallas, it's nice that they're playing cohesively and sticking together. They've got to push forward.
And this isn't exactly Ace Attorney, is it? It seems like every single argument is being countered with good evidence, and well, Dalton tries to go for the quick 180, but finds himself with a blue player in the way to sort of snuff the shot. Ez has got a good angle, but no boost to be able to utilize it. And once again, Drexel just able to throw it upfield quite successfully. No bumps or bruises found on the way out there for that rotation for UT Dallas. Baron a little bit too much mustard on the cross, but it's all in the name of wasting time, and time most certainly has been wasted. Tick-tock goes the clock, just seconds left to go. Baron up to X, finds the corner. That's exactly what you want to see if you're a coach. Dalton with the hop up, and spiked down Drexel. Comprehensive 1-0 clean sheet.
Risky play at the end as well. UT Dallas would clear forward, a chance to be sure, but the fake was just a bit too far removed from the goal line, having to go the length of the pitch just to have a chance at scoring, and Barron was in the right place at the right time. But I think that's what worked so well for Drexel here. They did that often in Game 2, in the right place, at the right time. That's oftentimes all you can really ask for from a team in a position like this, but it's a solid result. It's another 1-goal result, albeit not going to OT this time. These teams are closely matched, Relic. I'm starting to feel that Game 6, maybe 7 creeping in, but the question is, who really dictates that pace? Because I'm feeling like Game 1 was UT Dallas's until they let Drexel back in. Game 2 never really felt like it belonged to UT Dallas at all. Could Drexel play their cards a bit more, confidently here and try and close the series out quickly? Or are UT Dallas, well equipped to hang in this? We will have to find out. We'll have to find out if we are able to see UT Dallas make the comeback. We'll have to find out if we're able to see Relic come back. I hope we are. We most likely are. But at the end of the day, it is 1-1 in the series here between UT Dallas and the Drexel Dragons. Personally, I'm a bit convinced that Drexel are in the ascendancy in this series right now. I think that they have everything locked down on defense. They didn't really need to do any majorly, strong defending there in game number 2. It just kind of let them happen. So here we are in game number 3. It's 1-1 in this best of 7. I hesitate from sending a formal prediction for how long this series will go, but UC Dallas will get us started. Deja vu from the first game in the series. It's 11 seconds in. UT Dallas grabbed the first goal, courtesy of Dalton, who finally gets on the score sheet here, I believe, for UT Dallas, given didn't have anything last game. In the previous, you saw a whole lot of Dez getting in there. Luby was trying to get into the action as well, but now Dalton has woken up. A hard wake-up call there, courtesy of the pump, and a demo on a Luby as well. Here's the numbers advantage for Drexel, and do they take it? They absolutely do. You can see it coming from a mile away. X scores for Drexel and evens things up here. 4 minutes and 37 seconds to play. So much time for these teams to just relax, take a breath, take a breather, play some defense, maybe. Both teams have been doing it, but we go back to game number 1, and the transition plays were so prevalent. It felt like teams didn't even have a chance to get back into their own zone. They didn't even have a chance to unlock the doors before another car screaming into the driveway saying, "Hey, guess who's home?" And that was the goal scored. So we're all square yet again as Luby collects this ball back towards the corner. Sent over towards Dez. Another push here for UT Dallas if they can formulate something, but it stops through the corner immediately. Luby now cycling back in. It's centered once more for UT Dallas, struggling to get anybody relevant as Drexel hold the fort for now. How much longer can it stand the test of time? Dalton, a good putback here to the bar, and it's sent away.
Okay. Shenanigans. Long story short, people don't want me to watch Rocket League. What they do want me to see, I imagine, everybody, is Kevin scoring a second here. 1 minute 30 in, and again, I'm so impressed. One thing that I was really eager to try to get across, Galgan, is how much Drexel has adapted so quickly into this series. Okay, they've conceded the 1 goal this time around, but just defensively and in the midfield, so much more solid a unit, and they're opening up, although not many opportunities, they are opportunities that Dallas are struggling to deal with right now.
That's the thing. I feel like these teams just wanted to preserve the mystery, but you've hit the nail on the head. Now, there are moments, such as the one we just witnessed, where Drexel defensively gets a little too trigger-happy with the first touch on defense, and they don't really hand it off into the best position. It's an easy pickup for UT Dallas to transition with, but when Drexel does operate well defensively, I'm right there with you. You can see it very evident in the play style and the transition plays that they're able to bring back the other side. That's a beautiful challenge from Kevin. You can't quite tap it home, but Baron will go back up to the top of the back wall, and Drexel will try and maintain this lead, which would give them the series lead heading into game number 4.
I love the ferocious aggressiveness coming out from Drexel, and it's just putting UT Dallas on the back continually. They're struggling to find any sort of purchase. Again, really just looking at the midfield going forward, and that was the area of concern that I had for them in game number 1, where they were trying a couple too many passes, and here, I mean, pass off is fine, but then it just goes straight into the hands of Kevin, which again all ends up wasting more and more time off the clock, time that UT Dallas cannot afford to lose. And even when they do get a direct drive, it's Kevin in the driver's seat, able to pilot his team out of danger.
It's the fact that you get away without conceding there. A beautiful testament to how Drexel are playing defensively. And now they've got a chance the other side with the numbers advantage. Quickly turns to a disadvantage as everybody from UT Dallas cycles to the goal line. But we're seeing a real switch up here as UT Dallas struggle to break through. Drexel doing a solid job. And again, the dichotomy arises between slow rolling it out of your defensive zone for the sake of keeping possession, or trying to get a quick clear and potentially giving the ball right back to your opponents who sent it in the first place. Good first touch from Luby. Has Dez across, goes for it, but Kevin picks it clean. Now the transition. Only 10 boosts for Kevin, not going to connect with the ball. The center pass is removed via demolition. Baron has little help here in the bottom of the zone. It's not going to mean much. UT Dallas, Dalton trying to exit the zone. Can't quite do so. We'll have to recycle again here, Relic. It's a minute to play.
Might as well rename yourself Atlas, Kevin, because you really are taking the responsibility of the world onto your shoulders. So many defensive cleanups, so many excellent bits of stalling when there's been too much of a commitment from their more like anchor-centric players. And Baron as well been doing a super good job just holding up the play. X playing with a little bit more flamboyancy, but that's all right. You have your flair players for good reason, and he's been again putting UT Dallas into really precarious positions which they are struggling to work something from. Again, a bit of miscommunication. Dalton through the mess finds a shot, but Baron finds another save, and again that clock is completely merciless. And again, UT Dallas with little time left have to find one, or it's going to be 2-1 Drexel in the series.
It's a race to the ball, though, that Dalton never could have won. Another challenge, and X is the first one to it. High up in the sky, delaying as much as possible. 6 seconds to play. Dez needs something to go. Dalton is center, but does not get the favorable challenge, and Baron will fake it until they make it. Drexel grab game number 3, and UT Dallas is going to have to hear all of the praises loud and clear if they are to take this series, because it's running away from them pretty quickly here. I still stand by what I said. It kind of feels like Drexel are in control right now, and UT Dallas need to claw their way back up.
And one of them was Pepe Drive, the other was Pepe Run, and it feels like they've just completely flipped roles at this point. The first game, to be fair, and I do say this often, game 1 is usually the most anomalous of an entire series, especially when we're talking best of 7. There is so long, potentially 45 minutes of the series left before you can really start to get a good picture as to what's actually happened, what you've just witnessed. And that Drexel didn't look bad in game number 1. I think that's kind of the thing that we're, with hindsight, now discovering. They still scored those 3 goals in game number 1, and it took 2 minutes of overtime for UT Dallas to even get that goal winner across the line. So hey, good on Drexel Dragons. You know, easy to see your head dropping after that first 5 minutes, but they've stuck to their task really well. They've cleaned up the small chinks in the armor that they had, and again, even though they conceded 1 here, it was very, very comfortable again for the majority of that.
That's the thing. I think the one thing that worries me, if anything, against Drexel would be the abilities for these UT Dallas players to pull off solo plays. I know we oftentimes talk about how important it is to play as a team, play as a unit, make sure you're all in collaboration with each other at all times. But that's the one kicker that UT Dallas feel like they have here. Somebody can step up and make a high-impact play to beat 2 Drexel players in one go, and then the rest should be an easy goal to clean up, and we say it should be, but Drexel have stepped up defensively to the point where even if you do get that magnificent beat on offense, somebody's there. Let's be honest, it's often Baron at the far post. Somebody's there to make the save for Drexel, and that's what's keeping them able to keep this sheet so clean against UT Dallas. There's the miss. Shut up, Mr. Commentator.
1 for 1, but 1 for 0. Oh, that's so unfortunate.
Yeah.
You've got to feel for Drexel there. It's one of those ghost moments where you're like, oh, yeah, I've got it, and then you really don't. So, Baron, that's one that you got to chalk up to a little bit of unluckiness and then curse your inputs of whatever form of control that you're utilizing. But, you know, I think that UT Dallas, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Technically speaking, I'm seeing better things from this team. Tactically speaking, and certainly just on the outside looking in, I think communication's a little bit lacking right now. They've been offered a bit of a gift to get this 1-0 situation going now, but Drexel, we've seen them in the face of adversity. They can easily bounce back, and it's up to UT Dallas now to try and find a second just to give themselves some daylight.
Certainly so, but here's X to win the race up to the skies, off the side wall, and Dalton, impressive read there for the second touch, forces to the corner. A bit more awkward of a clear to make, so now you see UT Dallas connecting with an aerial passing play and converting to a shot from Dez. Dalton goes center again, X to block aside, but surely the boost tanks have to be running on low as Luby steals more here from the back corners. It's Baron to step up the intensity, however, and make sure that Drexel are not on the back foot for very long. They've made a quick transition here, and while it may not get them the best scoring chance, UT Dallas will at least have to recuperate and try and draw up another spin here.
I tell you what, I don't know whether Drexel have been talking to my mother at all, but their organizational micromanagement has been absolutely sublime. And they're changing up how they clear the ball as well. Sometimes it's small passing transitions out to the midfield and then try and figure out something from there. Sometimes it's big, long Hail Mary clears where sometimes they'll have someone upfield. And it's their ability to change things on the fly that's, again, kind of flummoxing UT Dallas. They're looking to try and find a good read so they can then go and punish and capitalize and send numbers forward. Not happening. And now Kevin's going for a flamboyant, fantastical dunk from the heavens. Not going to happen. X flies in, and eventually they're all going to have to rotate out here. Gives Des some time on the ball, drives past Kevin, goes central but misses that crucial touch in field, leaves Luby to do a lot of heavy lifting, and X down the other end gets a shot on target. Luby back in time to make the save.
See, it's looking pretty good though, and it could be morale boosting for Drexel. Kevin with another flip reset, make it 2, doesn't use it. We're all square with 2:02 to play. Just marvel at that sequence. Truly one of the Rocket League goals I think you'll ever see. And of course it's the Kachow explosion. Of course it is.
There was nothing lightning about that McQueen of a goal, most certainly. I'm kind of baffled. I mean, when you break it down, Luby can't jump because obviously there's a potential Goomba stomp in the making there, but then there is time. you can touch the ball at some point there and at least try and make the save. Truly bizarre. And well, there was no second goal until Drexel scored it. 1-1, 1:40 left as we speak, and UT Dallas with it all to do yet again. That's a bit of a miscommunication finally from the Drexel defense. Again, there's no true punishment, and again miscommunication. So many times UT Dallas tripping over their own shoelaces, it seems like.
And I think what makes that so important is that this is the moment where UT Dallas need to make a difference. You want them to win this game by more than 1 goal, because even if they take that 1-goal victory, the series stays close. Yes, they're still hanging in it. But how much are they really? How much are they holding themselves back and not showing us this true offensive potential that we believe this squad can pull off? Meanwhile, Drexel feels like they're playing with house money at this point. They've got the series lead. They're just trying to eke out another game here, give themselves a triple match point. UT Dallas screaming towards the net. Dez spawning off the demo. Very lucky to be doing so. Going to block that ball and send it back on the counter to Dalton, who goes back wall. X to block immediately. With 40 seconds left, and UT Dallas have had some solid offensive possession bouts here. Can they convert?
That's a decent shot. Unfortunately, again, it's a little too wide. What about Luby? Again, looking for these backboard touches, but Drexel is so well set up, and that's a big throw downfield. Forces pressure on Dez, rides the challenge well, doesn't ride that so well, completely eviscerated. Meanwhile, Luby over the top, but there's Kevin followed the run beautifully. Baron, that's, I mean, it's inventive, does the job somewhat. Thrown back into a dangerous area. Kevin gets an important touch, and look at that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Buzzer beater potential. Not going to happen. Overtime at 1-1 for the second time in the series.
That's actually insane that Kevin connects with the wheel there. I think if that doesn't happen, UT Dallas might just pull off that 0-second chance. But that's all hypotheticals at this point in time. It's a passing play center to Dez and a save from who else other than Baron, who has been the rock for Drexel at that far post. Aside from the one moment where ghost touch happened. We're not going to dwell on that too much, though. Drexel have moved on. It's overtime here. They've got a chance for a 3-1 series lead.
I'm waiting for that moment for UT Dallas. I'm waiting for that moment. This is a lot better. Sustained pressure, but still nothing that's going to break the back of Drexel Dragons. Until now, maybe. Oh, it's the crossbar to the rescue of the Dragons yet again. And on the counter, Barry gets a piece of Dez, who himself gets a piece of the ball. X now looking for the drive forward, up onto the backboard, and Dalton's not going to get there. It's all about Kevin. Luby down. And they again find themselves starting from scratch.
Oh, but this is a solid touch. Backboard right off the bar. No immediate response from Drexel.
Oh.
And it's dribbling right in front. Oh, I thought there was a chance, but UT Dallas thanking their lucky stars that the crossbar was benevolent on this day. It's a square up series. Double the commit, double the power. 2-2 in this best of 7.
Either the comms are completely silent, Gaugan, or everybody's shouting. I want to wager that it's probably the second rather than the first, because even there, in that game-winning moment, twice, there were two players going for the same play. That shouldn't happen. And that's what, again, continues to tell me that UT Dallas should be in a much more comfortable position within this series than they find themselves. I mean, to be fair, the fact that they are in the lead of the series yet again, it kind of says to me that their opponents have been somewhat unlucky. But, oh, man, if I was a coach, I'd be really frustrated with the performance, because UT Dallas are kind of their worst enemies at the moment.
It feels that way. It feels very tough to read into this entire series because, again, at a baseline, we've had all 1-goal games. The 2 victories for UT Dallas have both come in extra time, so they've really had to work for it. But I don't know if this necessarily feels like UT Dallas were as heavy of a favorite coming into this as we may have believed. Drexel certainly provided a wake-up call, as I alluded to early in the series, but not without the expectation that they would have done so anyway. It's clear that they're ready to play. It's clear that this was going to be one of the closer matchups due to the seeding in this bracket itself, but that's the thing. Every single time we watch these games, I sit here thinking UT Dallas can do this. Why don't they? Which is a tough question to ask of players because I know that all 3 of them would wipe the floor with me and then some. But at the same time, it's like you're kind of waiting here, not as like a biased fan of either school, but just kind of waiting for them to unlock that next step. And it feels like they see it. It's right in front of them. It just got to raise that foot up.
It's kind of that star potential versus it's rather your current star rating versus like the star potential. I feel like UT's potential is really high, but I can also see why they've struggled in their previous qualifiers in terms of all things collegiate. This does really scream of a team that when they're on it, they are a force to be reckoned with, and especially when you're looking at likes of Luby and Dalton and Dez, for me especially, as a playmaker, getting up there in attack with confidence. That's scary. That's a terrifying proposition as a defense to try and deal with. But how often does that happen? Because right now it feels like 5% of the total game time, and that's not enough to sustain a game, let alone a series.
And listen, now that we're partaking in this massive bracket with, I believe, 18 teams are here today, we get to do one of my favorite things in the middle of the series when we're not on match point for either teams, go over results that we have for the rounds that have already happened, because all these matches are going on at the same time. There are a couple matches that have already finished up. the first matchup here as we get the first goal courtesy of Kevin for Drexel. 45 seconds in. Take another look at this play. It's X on the back wall. And okay. What a redirect there. Knows the angle perfectly. All right, I see you.
What are the results, though? You had results.
Results. I did have results. I was very excited. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to dominate the conversation here. But
it's okay. It's okay.
Results. We'll run through them real quick. Maryville was waiting for their opponent. It was either Thomas College or MSU. Thomas College take a sweep there, so they will move on to play Maryville. Likewise, Rowan will go on to play against Akron Gold, beating the University of Alaska in 5 games. And we have 2 other sweeps. One that's really nice for Southern Miss, as Southern Miss Coca-Cola takes a 4-0 over Bowling Green. One that's not as nice for Southern Miss, as their gold roster drops in 4 games to Oklahoma Christian. Those are the results I have so far. Back to you, Relic, with a goal!
This is live reporter Relic coming in with an equalizer for UT Dallas. And it all starts with Luby hanging 10 in the midfield as a little bit too far away from the Drexel defense, sitting a little too deep actually. And this is finally what I wanted to see from Dallas, was recognizing how their opponents are playing and adapting to the situation themselves. Because Drexel was sitting deep, all they had to do was keep the ball a little bit further outfield, sets up for an absolute banger into the back of the net. And hey, if they can keep this up, hey, I think we're going to see good things, Galgan, but it's the if. That's the big watchword at the moment.
And that's what we're going to have to deal with throughout the rest of this game, Game 6, and Game 7 if we get there, which feels more and more likely as we go on, because these teams cannot seem to get multi-goal leads against each other. For some reason, I think we've seen a little bit of it early on, but we're getting to the point where both these teams could stay tied for all of eternity, and I wouldn't think anything wrong with that. So, I don't know. The jury's still out. I'm waiting to see that X Factor ring through for both teams. I know they have it, just got to find the key to unlock it. Drexel's certainly pushing for these. It's a good opening shot from Barron to test at that near post. But Luby to block aside, and UT Dallas look for a quick break. They may have caught Drexel sleeping. Can somebody get it on target? Luby goes far side, and UT Dallas go out on top.
Was it a fake? Was it a miss? Oh, you know what? It might have been a bump from X, actually, to be very fair. But Luby reacts to the situation with the succinct sort of accuracy that we would have come to expect from him. And that does mean that very much just after half-time has passed, that's a well-earned second goal, a well-earned go-ahead goal for UT Alice. They take the lead for the first time within game number 5. 2-2, of course, the series scoreline. If you're just joining us, might be number 3. But for a bump on Dez, stopped in his tracks, save from Kevin, who's now going to try and go all the way down from box to box. The block as well. Oh, it's Superman, but on the cake.
Putting them on a poster here. Kevin with a collection at the midfield line makes the jump and has Dalton read like a book. Going to sleep after reading that fantastic passage. And my goodness, it's 2-2, 2-2, 2-0-9, not full twos. I know how much we love the number 2 here, but listen, 202 is literally like right now. So hold, okay, and we're going. Anyway, back to you, Relic.
Good luck. My brain is melted. It is brain juice right now. But you know what? I'm getting plenty of vitamin W's in here because it is one of the craziest series that I've seen in a good year. Flummoxed is most certainly the word which I will use as my descriptor. And speaking of flummoxed, well, where's the defense? Everyone's looking around. Nobody's home. UT Dallas lead again.
You know what? Honestly, I'm kind of surprised it took us until the middle of Game 5 to get to this. I thought something like this would have happened a lot earlier. And I mean, granted, you could go back to when UT Dallas had the triangle in the midfield line. Maybe that counts, but that was a near full pitch effort. And yet, it's UT Dallas out in the lead again. Drexel had made the comeback happen before, albeit to force overtime and eventually lose that. But here's UT Dallas trying to make a statement, and they've got a little bit of time left to close this out and gain a bit more of a confident series lead.
It's the best performance that we've seen from UT Dallas, though. Forget the 2 goals that have been scored. It's just been far more fluid. There's clearly been better comms overall. and they're reacting most importantly to what Drexel are doing, and even that over-the-top moment where they're scoring the goal. Now, never mind. It's all over. It's all over. My point is moot. They're going down the other end. They're going to get a third.
No.
I am the king of cursed for a reason, everybody. But even that is stretching my belief.
There is absolutely no way. You cannot replicate that team save if you try 100 times over. And of course they get scored on an immediate counterattack where nobody's home. Because why wouldn't they, right? The Rocket League gods would have to be sick and twisted beings to have that sequence unfold in any other way. We're tied with 40 seconds to play.
Yeah. Sometimes words are not enough. Hang it in the Louvre, as they would say. 30 seconds left at 3-3. Very similar sort of situation to game number 1. Will we be heading to exactly the same resolution with an overtime at 3-3 with a potential UT Dallas win? I mean, goodness, who knows at this point? Whatever we say is instantly proven incorrect within seconds. Demo, Baron, flip reset towards net, Alton save.
All right, we wind down 7 seconds. It's Drexel with the final shout. Good challenge. Where's the follow through? Dez gets it clear, but not going to be able to follow it up. And Drexel, they're happy to see overtime here, which is interesting. They are 0 for 2 in overtimes this series. UT Dallas trying to make it 3 for 3. It's Dalton to start things off. Gets it to the corner. That's the good springboard for the offensive push, but an immediate clear comes out from Drexel.
Yes. On 1v1 against Baron, leaves it and thrown away. X on the chase. No, he's not. Luby completely fluffs the shot. Dalton, infield. Dez destroys for his troubles. But at least gets the clearance. Baron caught in a bit of a tricky place. Loses out on the boost and gets Demo 2. Kevin loses out here. Dalton not fast enough though. X cleans up on aisle blue. Is Dez now. No boost. Somehow still almost gets a shot opportunity. X has to get this to the midfield line surely, and does so.
It's just one of those matchups where players are pulling things off via very impressive mechanics, and yet at the same time it looks so happenstance that you wonder what in the world could have led to the setup that made this play come to fruition. And yet it's just happening. As fluid motion as Rocket League is ever to be capsulated in. As Baron now goes to the corner, center pass, Kevin was a bit too far forward, and X cannot tap it home. So here go UT Dallas back the other way, high up off the corner. Luby nearly had the read. It's going to have to be backed out by Dez, who goes off the sidewall. Dalton pulls back, understands there needs to be some kind of a defensive presence here against Kevin, who takes to the skies. Doesn't quite have the resources to match Dalton's quick jump. And UT Dallas get a sigh of relief.
Drexel, this press, oh no. The press, I mean, look, the press was too high. That's not the point. The point is that Kevin, who has done so much good work in this series, has sadly laid it on a golden platter for UT Dallas. To get 0 and 2 in overtimes, it's 0 and 3 now. More important, the UT Dallas on match point. I said that UT Dallas were the architects of their own downfall previously, Galgan. I think that's just the series now. It's just happening. You said it yourself. You've coined the blurb for this series.
It has to, like, going back to your previous point, it has to come down to communication, though, for these teams. Yeah. Like, you do not put yourself in a situation where Kevin's going for that ball at the back corner and then turns it back towards their own net. I mean, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here and I'm going out of my skill area for the game. I don't think there's really a good chance that you pull that off anyway, regardless of whether or not somebody's pressuring you. I mean, obviously you'd like to get it, up on the back wall above the net, but there's only so much you can talk about that play at the end of the day. It's the mistakes being made. It goes back to where I said Drexel need to watch for the mistakes that UT Dallas make when they do make them. And they've done that to a degree, but like you say, we're 3 overtimes into the 5 games we've played thus far, and UT Dallas have taken all 3. Now, it doesn't take an overtime for UT Dallas to win the series. It just takes one of the next 2 games. Now that the bar seems so low for UT Dallas to take it home, Drexel have that much more of an uphill climb.
It's unfortunately, very entertaining series for the neutral. We'll put it out there. It's lots of goals, things happening. That's all fine. But it is unfortunately a who makes the least mistakes sort of series now. And especially when we're talking game 6, it's match point for one of the teams. Drexel have to do what we saw them do very well early on. Adapt, but crucially, hold their nerve, Galgan, because it feels like the nerves finally broke in that last game, and an early goal conceded will not do them any favors.
So let's see what Drexel's response is. You can try and clam up on defense, be strong and resolute, and look for the counterattack. You can try and flip the script, become the more aggressive team, which against this UT Dallas side doesn't seem like an easy feat to pull off, but if you're going to commit to it and have success doing so, far be it from me to tell you not to. It seems like they're just trying to get back to that strong unit play. A miss here off of X's air dribble, however, could open the door wide here as Baron comes through for the touch. Nothing else more to be had, though. Playing for the corners now are Drexel, waiting for this clear, but it's just staying right down Broadway as X goes for another challenge over to the sidewall, a race that Baron should not have won, but does. X goes off the corner, Baron for the shot. But Luby had enough time and not enough pressure on him to make that save.
Oh, that was on target, my goodness. Good save, good reactions, and ultimately good clearance. Kevin looking to make amends. The game losing mistake in overtime just a couple of minutes ago. It's something that we often forget, I feel, as viewers, as enjoyers of this great esports. These series fly by. There is no time to grieve. There's no time to think about what you did well. You just got to do. And at 0-0, there is still plenty to do for both of these teams as X throws it downfield and Dalton receives, throws it up high.
Had a cherry-picked player, though, for Drexel, and now it's going to be Baron as Kevin and X populate the midfield line, waiting for this ball to come down. X backs up to give it a bit more space, but here's the hold from UT Dallas, and nearly the advantage taken. Luby a bit too slow on that angle to get it through, still from the side wall. Solid hold. Dalton goes center again, and everything in Drexel's power to get this save aside. It's going towards that far corner, and it's well inside, closer to the center, as X gets Drexel on top.
Fortune favors the bold, and that's just a simple ricochet. It's favorable towards Drexel. It's not much of a skill diff, but it is enough to get that goal into the back of the net. That is going to set up another breakaway goal off the kickoff. X, give it to you? Yeah, he has.
He certainly has. He's gone side to side at that orange net, and we finally get to see what these teams do on either side of a multi-goal lead. It's not much, but it's honest work for Drexel, who are trying to force Game 7 in this opening series of the bracket. Again, I mean, we're working with single elimination here. These teams playing for their tournament lives here in the first week of Rally Cry Collegiate Series play. And my goodness, Drexel have really started to wake up those dragons here for Game 6.
It's X. X has turned up, and he's looking to play. Everything going through him at the moment, and boy are Drexel happy for it as well. UT Dallas, I mean, 3 minutes has flown by. Barren wasteland of a goalscape for the first 2 minutes. That's almost an OG. Oh wow, forcing Luby into late heroics, and here's X now just happy to hang out with the ball. Oh, that's ego, that's confidence, but it's well-founded confidence given how Drexel are playing here.
Just jumping to it at every given moment, not allowing UT Dallas to even think about getting it on their own. X gon' deliver it to him, as now Baron cycles this ball backwards. Please no nightmare scenario of putting the ball in front of your net again. Baron will not make that mistake for Drexel. Gets the clear through, and the demolition. Here goes X to hand deliver on a silver platter. Goes off the back wall, and the collision finds the crossbar. Plenty of shots and saves registered, but none in the back of the net just yet, as UT Dallas still try to find their first, courtesy of Luby. Big save from Kevin on the far post.
He just keeps on making them. Again, that's why I can forgive him for that one mistake, because he's been doing so much good. might be on the losing team, definitely been the MVP in this series so far. He's going to have to continue to do the good work for another minute or so, force this to it'll be game 7 in our opening matchup of the Rally Cry Collegiate series. What more could you ask for? Luby, very isolated, easily dispossessed. Des goes sideways, sets it up for Kevin, over the top, backboard. X, they're not even looking to follow this with a particular vigor, Drexel, because they know that they've got that margin to work with.
It's crazy, though, the switch-up that we've seen. It was a very tame start to Game 6, and all of a sudden, Drexel, and especially X, are just in the face of UT Dallas consistently here, grabbing the ball any chance they can get. It's a robbery there at the top of the box, but no power behind it. So here goes Des on the clear through. 15 seconds. There's a decent chance with numbers here for a goal. Des pick up, no boost though, and that's going to be all she wrote. It gets cleared from the sidewall. Team bump from Des and Dalton. And UT Dallas are going to find themselves in a Game 7 here. It has been 3 regulation wins for Drexel, 3 overtime wins for UT Dallas, and 1 game of 5 minutes of Rocket League to decide who's advancing from this round of 16.
I'll call this series a bizarre adventure because just like JoJo's, this is all swings and roundabouts, Galgan. I don't know where to look next because as soon as we feel like, okay, we got one of the players, let alone the teams sussed out, they provide us with something completely new to delve into. And X, as much as he's been a decent part of the roster, not really stuck out for one particular reason, here for Drexel Dragons, picks up 2 goals, could very well have found himself with a hat trick at the spear tip of everything good. Sometimes just the shaft of the spear as well. Playmaking, getting in their faces, scoring the goals, at least forcing defensive maneuvers that get UT Dallas out of their rotational comfort zone. More of that, please, and Drexel Dragons will upset the seeding and find themselves with the big old W at the end of this one.
Ooh, bold prediction. Let's see. Will the Drexel Dragons make you out and out, or will UT Dallas spend the day their way? We'll have to call it morning driving through the sound in and out of Champions Field as it's time for Game 7 of this first series of the Rally Cry Collegiate Series. It feels so nice to get this out of these teams because at the beginning of the series we were calling it. They look close. I mean, it's easy to say, right? Every game is a 1-goal game. We're getting multiple overtimes. You know, they're playing close to each other, but they've maintained that through and through all of the mistakes we've seen, the missteps, all the capitalizations, the demos, the set plays. It has a little bit of something for everyone, and I think that's what's most enjoyable.
The winning margins, of course, opening up later into the series we've gotten. It's violent, it's fluorescent, it's everything that you could hope for, and this is exactly what UT Dallas could have hoped for. Des helped out there. I want to say that was Dalton there with a bump on the back wall. Either way, a nerve settler. Got that 1 goal. Deja vu from game number 1. Let's see how they react.
Certainly feels that way. Game 3 as well, got off to an early start. Didn't quite go their way at the end of things, but I mean, people are right on it. It doesn't quite feel like a UT Dallas series if it doesn't go the distance, but do we need to remind everybody what happened with the 2 series that went the distance in Open Qualifier 1 and 2 for Western League play for UT Dallas? I think that chip on their shoulder has firmly been brushed off, but it really would be emphatically removed with a win in this series.
Saw in defense there, it led to a good shot opportunity. Luby was forced into a save. Now down the other end, backboard, Dalton, infield, Des not on the same wavelength. Again, the recycle, not exactly going to be as fluent as they were hoping either. Now Des, oh my goodness, that's an open walkway, straight into the back of the net. Bish, bash, bosh.
It makes sense that we're getting this so much more towards the end of the series, though. Teams are starting to open up now. I almost picture it like a bell curve of sorts, where at the beginning of the series, you're just throwing everything. You're trying to intimidate your opponents, get as many flashy plays as you can. Then you start to lock up as the series goes on, and it starts to go the distance. You know you're going to be hanging around a while. And now you get one of 2 realities. You get teams hitting you with everything they've got, or teams trying to play the safest 5 minutes of Rocket League they've ever done. I think we're seeing a little bit of both. Maybe more aggression from UT Dallas and defense from Drexel. I don't know. The unstoppable force seems to be moving the object that is the Drexel Dragons pretty well right now.
Yes. Sets it up with key for X. Strides forward. It's 3v1. So many options, and Dalton says no, but Kevin says yes. They're still in it. 1-goal game.
Oh, the resilience as X tries to slow roll, and it's a beautiful idea on the center pass, but everybody's so far removed. And Baron just tries to apply pressure again to Dalton, where the UT Dallas defenders have not swayed too fervently when that pressure has been shown to their faces. And yet the one moment, the one takeaway is all it takes for Drexel to get back into this game.
Don't turn away, folks. Not when X is on the scene. Dalton with a save at the top beams. Into the side corner we go now. Side corner, there are only 2 corners. It's the left corner when we're certainly looking at it from a Drexel perspective. Ball into the middle. Dez with a save. Kevin on the chase. Baron in a better position. Loses out on the boost. X steps in. Dalton back for Kevin. Not on target. Baron waiting. Uses the caboose up. And Dez meets it.
Just a complete stop at the top of the box. Drexel ready to watch a show that they were putting on, speaking to the audience when they needed to perform. Not finding the goal just yet, but certainly giving UT Dallas a run for it defensively. Blocked from the midfield line just to buy some time for the rest of Drexel to get back into a defensive stance. But Luby goes over the top. No second touch inbound, and a miss as well is going to force Dez to back up here and respect the space. Early challenge, but Baron will pick up where it's left off. And it's a free ball at the far post, finds the angle through, and somehow Drexel score.
Stick the red in front of the Baron because they were flying towards that one. Big bump, and Dalton just goes a little too early. Luby stuck in no man's land, simply has to try and flip about and hope that any part of the car hits the ball. It doesn't. And just as we hit 2 minutes left to go, it's 2-2. Game on.
Big demo up in the sky, returned onto X as Dalton gets a spawn back in the defensive zone. Luby denied by Kevin on the in and out save. Fantastic movement there from a fadeaway spot to make connection with that ball and deny UT Dallas from grabbing the lead. Just under 100 seconds to play in Game 7. We start to think about overtime, but both teams are pushing so strong for goals it feels like they've each got at least one more in the tank.
And not so much what a burger, but what a save. Not a sponsor, by the way. We'll have more from our wonderful sponsors that are supporting this event after this. But quite frankly, I don't want it to end just yet. Luby, infield, looking for Dez. The round corner, slap in the face. 3-2.
Another chance where the defense is just waiting for this ball to come to the right spot, but so many players grounded there. X makes contact on the half flip, but it's too little too late. 1:13 to play. UT Dallas with a late lead here, but how long can they hold?
Big goal. 70 seconds left to survive. And survive they simply must if they want to progress in this bracket. Getting another goal would certainly help. Kevin saves at the near post. It's another pop-up from Kevin. X, followed up by Dez. It's Kevin again. I can't stop saying his name because he won't stop getting involved. Luby, lovely pop-up. But again, harried, harassed. Kevin, the switch over to X. Oh, gets it to the backboard, but there's no support.
Could this be the moment where UT Dallas take a regulation game in their favor? Kevin tries to push this one through as X is demoed behind the play. It'll slow down the follow-up as Luby plays it out to the side where X resides. Off the sidewall again. Dalton first one to the ball. Baron has to back up, and Luby with a good delaying touch. They're just trying to play keep away here from the Drexel Dragons, and they're doing a darn good job of it as X collects at the sidewall now, but it's immediately sent back to Luby. Have to go from the opposite corner now. Baron sends up high to the ceiling. It's Dez to jump. There's time running out. Dalton collects one last time. Beautiful challenge. Sets up for Dez to the back wall, and it's got to come from there. X tries to find Baron, but it's punched down towards the ground, kept alive. Here goes Kevin, one last chance. X picks it up instead, blocked on the dribble, and nobody can keep it up. UT Dallas, they break the curse. They win a game in regulation, and it's the most important one of the series. Okay, it's UT Dallas, 4-3.
That is quite the story that we've had to tell there. And by the way, this is like the second round of matches, technically. The first round was 2 matches total. This is the first proper round in this bracket. And I think we might have gotten the best match out of the entire lot, Galgan. I know there's a bunch of results to go through, but you gotta say, first of all, applause to both teams. It got a little bit crazy in there, but through all the madness, we did see the methodology, and ultimately UT Dallas, I really do feel like it was, I don't want to say skill there, but it really was their technicality and their ability to find those solo plays, to find those pop-off moments that ultimately got them across the line.
Exactly. So again, I mean, that's the very first series of this Rally Cry Collegiate Series featuring Rocket League, presented by the Army National Guard. And we've got some replays from the prior match as well. I mean, just fantastic stuff from these two teams. I think at the end of the day, the thing that sticks with me the most is capitalization on mistakes. We talked about it early on. Both teams had their moments that were very, very sketchy, but it's what you do in response to that that makes all the difference. And I think UT Dallas finally realized that Drexel was just getting a bit too ambitious for their liking.
Yeah, well, as the old saying goes, Galgan, you can't spell collegiate without, oh my god, what is actually happening? And I really feel like that was so true of this series as well. Many, many times over, we found positions like this where there were just the most phenomenal of saves, and sometimes they wouldn't be followed up on. But those who were most aware, those who were really locked into the zone, made the most of it. And it's why we had different games featuring different people. If there was one person to highlight throughout the entire lobby who I was most consistently on it, it was Kevin. And I think it's so harsh on him to be on the losing team. Again, we look back to that horrific miss in, what was it, game 5 that sent UT Dallas onto match point in the first place. He's going to be thinking of that in his nightmares for the next couple of days, I can guarantee you that. But it shouldn't dispel the hope that they have going into the Rally Cry Collegiate Series. Yes, they bow out of this particular weekend early, but I think on another weekend, Galgan, they go to, at the very least, the quarters.
And at the end of the day, it's a great matchup for both teams. They get experience against a very closely matched roster currently, where, especially with the collegiate scene for North America, you know, we're waiting to see more competition from these rosters. We're waiting to see what they have in store, what sort of programs have been built in the background as we've been waiting for more official information and the like. So getting to see this action now is a great thing for both these teams, making sure that they get the reps in, obviously everybody else in this tournament as well. And I do want to touch on the fact, you know, we talk about the bracket that we have going on and all of the results. We'll touch on that, of course, but I just want to say for UT Dallas, congratulations on winning this series. Your grand prize in your next matchup is Knight, Buddy, and Adam of Maryville. So,
oh no!
I hope you have fun with that. I'm not trying to listen, everybody's got a chance. You know, Maryville, they're a great roster on paper. UT Dallas, I believe in you. If no one else believes in you, I believe in you.
You know, Galgan, you don't become the best by not facing the best.
Right.
Like, you got to have that statement. You got to have that moment where you say, I'm here and we're going to stick at it. Oh, stats. I do love stats. And how about this? So evenly matched were the two of these teams that they both scored the exact same amount of goals, almost even on saves, only 4 shots separating the two. There were so many 1-goal games. Goodness me, the final game was a 1-goal game. So if anything, again, when I say that Drexel could have won and progressed quite far in this particular weekend on another day, I really do mean it. There was such fine margins between these two teams.
And it is unfortunate, but that does spell the end of the tournament this weekend for the Drexel Dragons. Your official result of the first series on stream here, UT Dallas take the win 4-3, and they advance into the round of 8, the quarterfinals of this bracket against the top seed Maryville University with Knight, Buddy, and Adam. There is plenty more to be played in this tournament, plenty more to be seen, including Southern Miss Coca-Cola going up against the Pescados of Fisher Academy, Rowan up against the University of New Hampshire, I believe, is that roster I'm looking at, and Oklahoma Christian going up against Terps Esports. Those are your quarterfinal matchups. We will be back after this short break and a quick word from our sponsors to cover the quarterfinal matchup here of the Rally Cry Collegiate Series Week 1. We'll see you soon.
We get how uncertain the future is. We've come of age in a complex world, face to face with problems we didn't create. So what's gonna happen next? We are. Because our future is the future. The life we have chosen has prepared us for this. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day. We're going to save families from disasters and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny. We invite you to join us. The next greatest generation is now. forget how uncertain the future is. We've come of age in a complex world, face to face with problems we didn't create. So what's going to happen next? We are. Because our future is the future. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny.
Our generation has a choice. Turn away from the world's problems or chase them down. We refuse to sit back and watch them pass us by. Watch us fly ahead. Rise to every challenge and overcome anything. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Well, if you thought a 7-game thriller between UT Dallas and the Drexel Dragons was just the start, you'd be correct. We've got plenty more Rocket League where that came from here at the Rally Cry Collegiate Series presented by the U.S. Army National Guard. My name is Galgan, alongside me, Relic, and if you're just joining us, we have whittled down the 18 teams of today down to 8, and it's time for the quarterfinals. We've got plenty of matchups, Relic. Maryville get to take on UT Dallas, who we just saw. Rowan is going up against the University of New Haven, and it's Oklahoma Christian up against Terps Esports. But we center our focus on our next match, Relic. It's Southern Miss Coca-Cola versus those Pescados of Fisher College.
Indeed, that is seventh, I should say, versus ninth in total seeding. In terms of just who these are. We were discussing before the break, Fisher College, we believe this to be their third roster. Kevin, not that one, different Kevin. No, there's a one in place of the I. That's the difference. Tasek and False. Tasek, of course, sub for the main Fisher Friends roster. So, in general, we're expecting good things, but obviously not as rampant as that main roster would have been. Southern Miss Coca-Cola, though, this is a really interesting one. Another one of those teams where we're like, Melodic Misery, not really heard of them. Zathura, not really heard of them. Astro, we have heard of, though. Astro, previously of RLCS, but most notably RLRS, the rival series. So we're talking Kansas City Pioneers, we're talking Continuum, we're talking Compadres in terms of X teams. One of those players, as there are so many of them out there now at this point, what's it, 10, 12 seasons in, where, you know, they managed to have a good career, relatively speaking, in comparison to the thousands of other players out there, but they can never quite break through into the upper echelons. So here they are, Rally Cry Collegiate Series. They got that experience under their belt, but does experience count for something here, Galgan? On the back of what we just saw 10 minutes ago, I'd say absolutely.
I'd have to agree with you as well. I think there's plenty to watch for on both sides. I'm certainly very focused up on this Fisher side because, as you alluded to, Tasek and Falls currently, I believe, both listed on the main roster for Fisher. But they've even got, you've got your main roster, Sosa, Kinsey, Money. You've got Fisher Friends, which was Diaz, Repeat, and one other player who's eluding me right now. But at any rate, we've seen Falls around, appearing with West Virginia University before. Tasek as well, playing in plenty of events in the scene. So it's players that have proven themselves. But if the last series was any indication, I know that UT Dallas has a history of letting series go the distance, but our expectations were a bit shattered at the start. So Southern Miss Coca-Cola certainly have a bit of leeway in that direction if they want to try and get an early start to this. Again, best of 7 here as we march towards the semifinals.
Yeah, and it's odd, isn't it? Because best of 7s, you never really quite know how they're going to turn out, because especially at collegiate level, you can have chaotic bangers like what we just had. You can have very tense best of 7s as well. Or you can just have 4-0 knockouts where there's not really much competition to speak of. I don't think that's going to be the case here. Pescado's coming off the back of a 4-1 over Cal. You've got Southern Miss Coca-Cola with a 4-0 over Bowling Green State. So both teams really should be feeling very confident going into this one. But that, to me, Galvin, almost spells out a 0-0 for the first couple of minutes or so as both teams try to get each other out.
So let's try to figure them out ourselves. Take a bit of destiny into our own hands, shall we? The Fisher College Pescados take to the field against Southern Miss Coca-Cola. It's Astro, Zath, and Melodic Misery. We're going to try and make this happen on the side of the orange field here for this best of 7. It's Falls to get an early chance here. I'm looking for much the same as the previous match, the it factor being individual play. I think you look at these players for the Fisher College Pescados, you understand something amazing can happen at the drop of a hat. The question is, how much do Southern Miss want to let that happen, and how much of a say will they have in it happening anyway? Because Tasek, the recovery to get that flick off and get the first goal.
They no goal for 1 or 2 minutes. We almost got there, folks. Oh, what a beautiful flick this was, though, from Tasek. Just that it's a graceful slip on the floor, just resets the jump, and that allows them to then just throw it up over into the back of the net. So close to the net that they were. There was no real threat of putting a bit too much mustard on it and hitting the crossbar. So that's a really nice start for Fisher College, but straight back at you, says Zap. And Southern Miss Coca-Cola, they got a Pepsi in their Stepsy.
And it's a great display of selflessness here from Astro in that golden fennec right into the top of the box. A dime of a pass that goes far side from Zap. Good shot placement. We're back to being all tied up in game number 1. Do we see the same as the previous series where both teams just open things up? Transition plays aplenty and all of the offense to go around. Big save for the Pescados here. Can they translate it into a counter? Certainly going to be Tasek's primary objective but Zath will clear from the back wall.
Stance here from Fisher College. Melodic Misery stops it but runs out of boost. So that was falls into the ball. Astro, easy save to make, and lovely transition into the center circle for Zath, who goes on the hunt. Bit of a miscommunication there, and then a bit of an infield pass that they really didn't want. All snuffs the shot from Astro. He heads into the midfield, but gives up the Melodic Misery. Very fast pace, very punchy from both sides. In your face sort of style, but it does mean that you're left a little bit wanting on the retreat.
Kind of feels like it's favoring Southern Miss, though, in this particular department. Fisher College want some clean play. They don't really feel like scrapping it out for a couple of these opportunities. Much rather take a good air dribble through or set up a prime passing play on the counter. Meanwhile, Southern Miss are happy to throw everything at the back wall and see what sticks. And for what it's worth, Plenty is sticking there like freshly cooked spaghetti. It just will not fall down. Question is, how much can they bring that home with all the sauce to score? Southern Miss will continue to circulate a bit more of a defensive stance here. Zath and Astro just waiting for the shot to come through. Not a whole lot of mustard on that one from False. Easily cleared aside.
You love the spaghetti wordage, but gotta ask, where are you hanging your spaghetti from where it doesn't fall down?
Okay, well, listen, it's the,
Oh, what a miss, by the way.
it's the idea that if you ever, you cook spaghetti and you want to see if it's done, so you just chuck it at the wall, and if it sticks, then it's done,
Okay, right.
Listen, we teach some life hacks here. We get useful things.
New wallpaper, yes. Love a bit of tortellini on the wallellini, but going off the wall now, looking for that second goal. Southern Miss Coca-Cola demoing that poor shot from False. That's hitting the backboard, but Zath has no real follow-up potential. Manages to again smush it just by a little bit of time for the teammates to come onto it, but by the time they do, Fisher College, they've set up the defensive bastions. That's another infield pass, but well dealt with like that.
Good clear out as well. Plenty of space, just kind of threatened the possibility of doing something with no boost in the tank and had plenty of support to make that come to fruition. Zath to get to that center pass. Again, it's Astro to Zath. It goes wide. Follow-up touch from Melodic Misery. Not going to get past the calamity of defenders. Meanwhile, Zath races towards the goal line to get that save as Fisher College nearly found the angle through. Melodic Misery clears it aside one more time. And with about a minute to go, still all square. Fisher College starting to fight back just a little bit here.
Strone does his best to disrupt. Asek heads to the corner. Zath with the 180 and away he goes. Expands the boost and doesn't really expand much of his run, unfortunately. Astro trying to follow up. Again, it's safe hands for Fisher College. Downfield they go. Heading to that far corner yet again. Zath with the 100 pickup. Heading center circle yet again. Bit of a miscommunication there for Southern Miss Coca-Cola. Leaves them a little bit wanting the offensive front. Missed. Asek forces to the backboard. That's going to be a shot towards there. Astro tricky, cheeky, but no good either. Down the other end. Oh, Zath has been caught out, bullied, and oh geez, out of desperation. Fisher College, well, they've got a big catch here.
And there's nothing that could have been done. Fisher College playing so close to each other, but they understood the desperate stance that Southern Miss took. And they capitalized by fighting fire with fire. 23 seconds to play. Fisher College have found their in, but can they get out with a win?
Astro to reset. Big throw downfield. Pulse hits it, sets it up. For the sugar iced donut looking car at Kevin. It's very pink indeed, isn't it? Is that perhaps a distraction for Miss Coca-Cola? Well, Tasek leaves it to him. Just looking to waste time. Tasek, backboard, looking for a third rather than looking to concede. That's the way to do it. That's the ticket, as they would say. Keeping it close to the corner, away from any sort of retrieval. But look at that. Well thrown downfield. Astro did get a shot, but Tasek met it. Fisher College eke out this game 1 win.
They eke it out, so we can be sure of that. It's another close game in the series of close games that we've had. No real blowouts just yet, but I like it that way. It's more enjoyable that way. You get to see these teams really fighting and bringing out the best in both of their gameplay, but the best feels like it's yet to come for either side. I think that Fisher, you don't want to say that they're lucky to get this win because they well and truly earned it. But at the same time, there were moments in that game where you start to think, okay, Southern Miss, they clearly have this, I mentioned the selflessness of the passing play that got the goal for Astro to get the pass to Zath. They displayed that several times. Whether or not that's the dynamic duo that we're going to see moving forward, where it's Astro passing to Zath shooting and just constantly working off of that sort of play, or we get something different. Southern Miss clearly have the team play on lock, but is that going to be enough for them to get this series over the line? That's kind of a scary proposition, because usually team play is an extra, addition that we like to see on top of the cake for a team to compete well.
Yeah, my issue being the name that we were calling out most of all when it came to the defense was Zath. And as much as I love me a complete rotational style, everybody sharing the responsibility in all sides of the field, when you're starting to call out one name again and again and again and again, it points to one of two things. Either the opposition have decided that, okay, this is the sort of player that we're going to isolate, we can draw something out of this situation if we look to lock them away, force them into a defensive posture. Alternatively, it means that the team in question isn't actually fulfilling the complete rotational needs as wanted. Astro may be a little bit too far upfield waiting for the receiver, which is fine. But then Zath, as a crucial piece of that attacking jigsaw, doesn't want to be at square one when he's supposed to be further up the field. So I think as much as everything's in place, they just need to click now. And that should, in theory, produce more goals. But it doesn't stop the defensive issues, Galgan, from rearing their ugly head. And that's what I would personally like to see worked upon in this second game.
So plenty on the plate for Southern Miss Coca-Cola to wash down with some Coca-Cola.
Oh, yes!
There's a goal. There you go. Fantastic.
Beautiful.
I'm already thinking about it. I'm trying to manifest right here. It must be their good luck charm. I'm going to go grab a can of Coca-Cola. This is not sponsored at all whatsoever. I should drop this bit. Melodic Misery. First goal. Southern Miss up by 1.
And that was pure class. First of all, Melodic Misery to smush it against the wall. Here's a second goal on the way. No, it's not. Never mind. Scratch that. Forget that ever happened, folks. Actually, never mind. Reverse, because Melodic Misery is piling on the misery. Second goal, and Fisher College just didn't deal with this at all.
Figured out the melody that Melodic Misery is listening to. It's put that thing down, flip it, and reverse it. Clearly, back and forth and back again, making it walk back your words and making all of us walk back our expectations of how this series is going to go, because certainly the Southern Miss believers are believing so hard right now. The field is shaking and everybody's got to evacuate, but it's okay. We'll still play on. We'll still carry through. It's up to Fisher College to prove they have the resilience to take this over the line. It was never going to be that easy, I feel like, for a series like this. Teams destined to be as close as they are in the seeding and whatnot. It was going to be a battle.
Nothing discordant about this first minute then for Southern Miss Coca-Cola. A bit of a genre change from heavy metal to something a little more operatic. Although that said, there are still the opportunities for missed keys and certainly for someone to pose a threat to the orchestra. I mean, goodness, they're woodwind instruments. You can set them on fire potentially if you've got enough gasoline with you. Speaking of, Kasek looking to set the world alight infield, but well dealt with by the Coca-Cola defense.
So here's the thing, again, with Fisher College, I talk about the individual mechanics of each player. We know what they're capable of, but you've got to get the team play going right now. Southern Miss do not lack that. Fisher College, meanwhile, it seems like one person go to the backboard and try to score. They didn't score? Okay, let's see what we can do from there. Maybe send somebody. Nope, too late. Southern Miss have the clear, and that's the end of the offensive chance. Fisher College certainly have it well within their rights to formulate something more strategic than that. But Southern Miss aren't really letting them at this stage. It's a solid lock and counter strategy being employed by Southern Miss Coca-Cola, and it's got them this 2-goal lead, and comfortable 2-goal lead at that.
Yeah, Fisher's quite reactive at the moment. There was a moment there where we see Kevin going for the ball instead of going for the 100 boost steal. I know what he's doing. He's prioritizing ball placement and potentially setting up teammates. But honestly, I'd rather go for the energy steal right now. Quite simply, Southern Miss Coca-Cola have so much in the tank that it's quite easy to defend with. Their positional placements are really strong at the moment. So it's kind of like a punching bag absorbing all of the aforementioned punches. Really, it's not that Fisher College don't have lots of them in reserve. It's just that they're not really doing too much.
We'll have to see if they manage to take off the training gloves in time. They've still got the series lead, so it's not dire straits. We are in game 2 after all, so I don't think anybody's crying home just yet. But can Fisher College get themselves back into a leading position? Gotta find a first goal to begin with. We've been 3 minutes and change in. A touchdown from Tasek, blocked away by Zath. Now picked up by Melodic Misery. Over to Zath, 1-2-1, but picked clean by Kevin before it fully articulates there into a play. Melodic Misery does not find the ball out of the corner. And this is a prime chance for Fisher College to get a counterattack going. It's over to the sidewall. Possession may well be in their hands, but Zath is too quick on the read.
Yeah, quite conversely, Fisher College not exactly placing themselves well in the transition. I'd like to see them playing a little wider, giving themselves more of a safety net to work with, because playing quite close together, that can work to your favor if you're going for more of a demo sort of comp, but they're not. They're caught between two mindsets, it seems, and very one-dimensional attack. Again, Coca-Cola is going to be eating that up all day long, and look at the time. I mean, we're already down to 60 seconds left, Gaugen. Not much to work with here to find 2, and that's just to make it to overtime in the first one.
You don't want to think that they would, just concede this one, move on, chalk it up, GG, go next, but maybe that starts to become the trend. A good jump from Tasek, however, to block at the midfield line, but nobody's really able to respond. Kevin and Falls have to get back into a defensive stance, make sure that they don't get countered here. Astro, quick jump from the sidewall. It's another pass from Astro, this time out to Melodic. It's not going to connect for much. Not that that really matters all that much. Fisher College struggled to gain possession again out through the corner, but they're all stacked up. Ball's looking for some bumps. Now Tasek makes it awkward. Kevin was waiting for it to squeeze out in an area where it was not headed. Time dwindles down. Southern Miss Coca-Cola looking to maintain the clean sheet, nearly grabbing a third if that shot ended up on target. They might still go for it. Astro goes wide, however, and they're just happy to play keep away at this point, securing the game victory, sending us at least to game 5. It's one apiece in this series here in the quarterfinals of the first edition of the Rally Cry Collegiate Series for Rocket League, once this ball hits the ground in well open space above the Southern Miss box.
All the month of old bread, Gaugen, because that was stale. That was a really, really just uninspiring performance from Fisher College, and that's a shame, because we saw really good signs of a decent team in game number 1. I mean, goodness, they walked out with the win, so they had to be doing something right. But in the face of 2 really good goals, honestly, from Melodic, the first far more impressive, great interplay, of course, with that, than the second, which was just a run away from the kickoff. They didn't really have much to contribute to the story, and so there's not really much that I can analyze from that. They didn't give me anything.
Yeah, it did kind of, going back to the point of feeling that the best is yet to come for both sides, game 2 kind of felt like a mid-off in a sense. Not to downplay what these players are capable of, but just knowing that they can do more and knowing that we didn't really see it in the second game. So, hats off to Southern Miss for getting the win. They stay true to their identity and they keep consistent with it. I think that's going to be the big talking point for Fisher College. You want to see them come more into their own, really try and dictate the pace of play, not just throw these plays into the offensive zone where it's, Tasek goes score. If Tasek doesn't score, Kevin and False, hopefully the ball goes to where you're sitting at the midfield line. Like you want a little more than that, maybe a goal line demo, maybe some kind of, passing play from side to center. It's not the most impossible thing for Fisher College to set up. You feel like you want to see it earlier rather than later, though.
Certainly. And look, I will also give plenty of credit to Southern Miss. They got their 2-goal lead, and they were incredibly clinical afterwards. They didn't push too aggressively for a third, but that's okay, because they were defensively sound. They didn't concede. They were making no mistakes. So very similarly, there's not too much to analyze in that, but that's a good thing. Quite conversely to Fisher College is state of mind. So good news for Fisher College, at least this time around, is that there is no early goal to speak of. They can start with a clean slate from 30 seconds onwards, let alone from 5 minutes, and the clock is being reset, so on and so on. Potential opportunity here, but that's a big old whiff. And right down the other end, that's not a big old whiff, because Astro, not exactly the most out of this world goal, but a goal nonetheless. They'll take it.
It's still a solid touch. You got to give credit for that catch and collect in the second. It's ambitious to go for something like that. We've talked about it, trying to slow roll it out of the defensive zone, but nothing really slow about that. It's a quick turn, quick shot on. Great capitalization from Astro on a mistake from Fisher College, stepping out too wide, giving each other a bit too much space, trying to play that fine line, but it doesn't work out. But here's False over to Tasek, who carries it wide into the corner, trying to set up the line for Kevin, and that gentleman needs Authentic to try and make the difference. Gets the bump, to be sure, to try and open up some space, but Zat's already going off the side wall. Bit of a giveaway, though, as both teams fall victim to that sort of, let's move the ball as quickly as possible. Oops, I lost control. It's just right back to the opposition again.
Struggling, heaving, hoeing, Fisher College. Southern, meanwhile, seem effortless. Even when they are dispossessed, there's someone ready to follow up and figure out what to do next. Case in point, here's Melodic Misery. That's a shot that's almost on target, almost pushed in by Astro. And Tasek does well to scurry it away. That is a big connection between two players, but unfortunately that leaves absolutely nobody to follow up, and there was almost nobody at home to make the save. It's False who spells the truth, but the truth is that 2 minutes in and Fisher College really haven't had a sniff.
It's a great turnaround, though, from Melodic Misery as well, just to get another chance on top of it. But yes, it's deja vu, it feels like. Southern Miss, they've gotten so many clears towards a fairly undefended backline that you kind of wonder, I mean, if it takes this many resources and all this manpower from Fisher College to get the goal over the line, is it always going to have to be this, full-on send to the offensive side and no holds barred? They're not going to put the defense in line. They don't care as long as Southern Miss don't find the clear, but they have been finding the clear. Astro is very well positioned to find said clear. Fisher can't bank on that for any longer. Again, another breakaway chance that Kevin has to disrupt quickly here with very little boost, but Southern Miss capitalize and continue to blank out Fisher College.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? There's no safety net there to worry about these breakaway opportunities, and the Southern Miss Coca-Cola just waiting for those opportunities to arise. Basically, they don't need to create them themselves. 2 minutes left on the clock then, and still struggling to find a goal, any sniff of goal. That's a big Goomba stomp and False, big save. Kevin throws away, but complete control over the midfield now. In fact, that's another shot from downtown. Astro's got the sniper scope out.
See, what confuses me so much about this play, though, is Melodic Misery just got so much real estate on their lonesome. One player against the world of Fisher College. And as soon as they get that ball clear, everybody is committing upfield. When you know that players probably don't have the resources they need, it's an easy turnaround. For Southern Miss, it's one of the easier goals that they'll find in this series and maybe this tournament, but they're certainly not going to go without making it a show. It's a beautiful attempt at the double. Melodic Misery is still center. And oh dear, I'm starting to get not the pen just yet, but the pencil out to write down a series result, Relic.
Yeah, we're starting to go from fine margins to, ooh, that's looking quite clinical, to just pure dominance. That's a really nicely worked goal from a Southern Miss perspective, but from a Fisher College perspective, it just goes from bad to worse. So little to talk about last game, and it's not much better this game. In fact, there might be more to talk about, but from a negative perspective, and you never want to see that. Look at False just waiting for the situation to unfold, and you know what? He's gonna get a goal out of it. So on this occasion, okay, it's worked out. Astro didn't really have much there. Zat, it's a big whiff, so a very large slice of fortune, you could also say, has fallen into Fisher College's lap right there. But 66 seconds left on the clock. The fact that their only goal has come through a slice of fortune, Galgan, it's not the greatest endorsement. Let's put it that way.
We'll see what else they can do. However, try to carve out a path for their own. Fisher College as Melodic Misery goes twice off the sidewall and a flip reset. My word, it's a shame that goal didn't go in. Generational effort right there off the back wall. Zap to turn it around, but the fadeaway doesn't work without boost in the tank. Melodic Misery still keeps it relevant, just bullying this Fisher College side. They finally see their way out, courtesy of a demolition. Kevin, though, uses all the boost, flips away, falls, tries to get that redirect going. The Tasex touch was a bit too wide. Flip reset over the top back wall. Anybody has to tap that home, and False is not there in time. 20 seconds to go. They had their chances. They had their shakes, but it's another 2-goal lead for Southern Miss. Could be 3 by the end of it, and likely another game here for Southern Miss Coca-Cola.
It's a had too late, but this is the shoot of hope that they were looking for. Finally, they venture out into the midfield, wrestle away control of the 100 boost pads, and wouldn't you know it, by starving your opponents of resources and gathering those resources for yourself, you start to look a little bit more lively in the midfield, which leads to more goal opportunities. Now, okay, on this occasion, Gargan, they didn't take it, but hopefully they've learned the lesson now, and they can take that lesson and apply it for game number 4. If they don't, and Southern Miss do find another game win, I see this one being finished as a 4-1. But that's a big if. You know, I'm gonna give Pescados here the benefit of the doubt.
So that's the thing, though. I feel like there are plenty of lessons to be learned. One of the most pertinent ones, in my eyes, is the very linear formula with which Southern Miss Coca-Cola have increased their goal-scoring capacity per game from 1 to 2 and now to 3. Rumors would have it that Game 4 would see them score 4 goals, but you and I both know that anything we say does not go because we are just cursed in that manner. At the same time, I know that one of the big keys for the Pescados is defense. It has to be confident. I like when they send everything to the offensive side, because then we get to see their true colors. We get to see these fantastic plays from these players. But the full-on assault with nothing on the back line doesn't work when Southern Miss is confident enough to just tap the ball once and it rolls all the way down, defenseless field. Oops, it's in the goal. Like that kind of thing has to be cut out. Pescados are not going to win this series if that continues to happen.
And look, sometimes those goals will just happen per se. It's not just like, even with the most brilliant of teams, those goals do happen. It's about mitigating the factors, right? It's about limiting how many times it can happen and not being sloppy in possession, not giving the ball away. Those are pretty good ways to go about it. So they've been to school. Let's see whether they've graduated. Let's see whether they've, made the adjustments necessary to turn this series into anything but something akin to a demolition job. Well, not great signs early on, but to be fair, nice put away.
I have to say, Melodic is quickly becoming my standout player of this match. Has only been getting stronger as we've gone on, and has been a key to the offense for Southern Miss Coca-Cola, not to take away from the efforts of our other teammates here for the side in orange, as Astro and Melodic are both removed, and that is finally what it takes for Fisher College to make an early impact in a game. Zath alone on an island, no chance.
But that is the moment, Galgan, where you are supposed to throw it forward. You've gotten that demo. You've limited the number of players that you're going up against. The player in possession, like you say, super isolated and not floundering, but clearly not going anywhere. You apply the pressure in the right places, and you're gonna find a pain point. And here we go again, slotting it underneath the crossbar. Oh, how the tables have turned. It's 2-1.
And now we get everybody involved. It's Astro with an unfortunate touch, and what a pickup there for Kevin. Knew the angle, had it on lock, and that's the kind of read that sets you apart from the competition. It's the Pescados who grab an early lead here, still just inside the first minute, now elapsed. but you start to wonder if this is the new stretch of confidence that this side in blue really needs. They're starting to get a lot faster to the ball here, and that can only mean one thing for Southern Miss. They have to step up in retaliation.
Far better, far better. I do love it when a team makes us eat our words, and False ran into a bit of trouble there, but Tasek has given him plenty of breathing room, as has Kevin. Infield looking for False again, finds False, all towards the line. Kevin, oh, what an opportunity, miss! That was 3, but it wasn't to be.
Such a painful look. The double jump came before using what little boost Kevin had left. Did not have the angle. No time to regret such a situation. You've got to keep moving. The rotations are strong. The possession is still somewhat with the Pescados here, as a clear through from Astro does not follow all the way to the midfield line. Zath trying to contest early against False, who may have a flip reset but saves it low, trying to be as confusing and enigmatic as possible, as Astro now gets a clear by. Only one back, but False makes a quick turn, and a good read at that to keep Fisher College's possession alive here.
Tasek follows up on this play. The drive continues. Astro, any throw downfield will do, and they've managed to get it to the center circle. No round the corner though. False doing a 50-point turn, it looked like. You do realize that you have a handbrake button, good sir. It'll do it in half the time. Melodic Misery! Oh, no pain just yet. Tasek, big save, demoed by Astro. Leaves it to Zach, but False is there to stand up tall.
Not even a bad play for Southern Miss to let Zath take that shot. The contest was there, but really everybody else from Southern Miss backed up enough. Astro was able to get the clear. Now they can set something up back the other way. False has to jump in the way of that ball. Tasek sends it off the sidewall to give Fisher College a better angle at clearing this one away. Astro looking for an exit demo and finds it, but False gets the ball clear. Big challenge. Astro comes in to save the day and may well have a hand in setting up the goal. It's Astro to Zath right off the far post. Melodic Misery fluffs the shot. It's a pass from Zath over to Astro. A little bit of tiki-taka, but no goal there.
So it ends how perhaps it should have been. A goal for both sides. No goals for both sides. It remains 2-1 with 90 seconds and change remaining. Loose into the hands of Tasek eventually, but Zath gets the bump into Kevin as well. It's a bowling alley out here. Melodic Misery latches on. No, he doesn't. Tasek wiggles away. False runs upfield, waiting for the service from Tasek, or will they go for themselves? Oh, it's a bit too much there. I like the idea, but unfortunately the pinch off the backboard heads straight to Southern hands. Melodic Misery now down the other end. The pop-up, interference. Melodic Misery looking for interest on the backboard, but there is no disruption to be had. False, round 1, misses the second. Kevin maybe looking for False again, ends up heading straight into Misery's path.
Less than a minute to play, and it's Melodic Misery to get things going. No boost in the tank, so Zath has to take over, and does. A mid boost just now spawned, so here's Astro up for the challenge, but now it goes cross pitch, and Astro still makes a touch. Melodic Misery with a big challenge, 2-on-1, now 3-on-1. Zath to collect the ball and go up the side wall. Where's the quick challenge? Everybody's waiting. Kevin misses. Tasek on the back wall. Melodic Misery comes through. Astro to punch it home, and does! 34 seconds left, and Southern Miss Coca-Cola keep their game 4 hopes alive.
Throw enough darts on the board and eventually you will hit the bullseye. Astro right place, right time, right application. 2-2, 34 seconds left. That's how you want to see it done for Southern Miss Coca-Cola fans. Fisher College, well, their adventure for survival ended with another arrow in the knee, but these adventurers aren't done just yet. That said, the same can be said exactly for Southern Miss Coca-Cola, and Fisher College mishandling it in their own area isn't exactly going to be the right way to go about it, Galgan.
Feels like an eternity to go until this game may be over, but
Oh,
Astro
no!
wants to end it now! And a disaster class for Fisher College! It's all crumbled at the final moment of asking 13 seconds, and Kevin backflips! That's it!
That's not just a feels bad backflip, that's I'm going to send you a card, because that's a tragedy backflip. 3-2, and Southern Miss Coca-Cola. Well, Christmas isn't for another 10 months, but they've been gift wrapped one there. Oh, that's a little bit of, oh, I love this from Tasek, but sadly the flip was far too early. They had something going there. Maybe they still do. False keeps it up. Astro says absolutely not. Oh, Misery is company, and Southern Miss head on to match point.
You know what hurts in the most selfish way possible? If that goal gets scored, then the theory that Southern Miss score 1 goal in an increasing amount each game stays
It would
true.
have been correct.
Because that would have been 4-2. That stings just a little bit. But you know what doesn't? A triple match point for Southern Miss Coca-Cola, because my goodness, have they earned it here. That comeback, I mean, listen, there is so much that you could say about how much is the comeback on Southern Miss Coca-Cola versus, what if Kevin doesn't backflip there? Personally, I think Kevin's a little too far under the ball to the point where the backflip doesn't matter. And I think Astro's clear with the ball anyway. So to put that discourse aside, it's a great comeback there from Southern Miss. And I have to touch on this while I have the podium here per se. I have it on trusted knowledge that UT Dallas have managed to take Maryville to game 7. I'll wait for official confirmation on that. But if that is true, 1, wow. 2, UT Dallas, keep doing whatever it is you're doing, because I think it's very funny, not in a disrespectful way, in a play as much Rocket League as possible way.
That is quite incredible information.
Yeah, right.
My goodness. Also, I'm going to follow up your earlier point about the whole Kevin backflip not really matching, because also we have to look at, what was their offensive output looking like up until that point as well? Because it's no good not conceding a goal if you can't score another goal to equalize in the first place. And that's another element of Southern Miss's gameplay, which I really enjoyed throughout that 5-minute period. They very much tightened up the screws at both ends of the pitch, actually. It turned out that their overall defensive play was letting a lot less opportunities into dangerous areas. And when it was in a dangerous area, they dealt with it rather handily. But then the transition into their offensive phase was super sharp. It was committing defenders. And although they didn't have as much control over the midfield as we were perhaps expecting, compared to last game where they were just completely and utterly dominant in that area, instead they were able to use the boost that they did accrue really smartly. So that was just a step up in all levels of performance from Southern Miss. So despite going behind first, it almost seemed like an inevitability that the goals would eventually come to right the ship.
You would have to think, and as we get everybody back into the lobby here, I had a bit of a disconnection, but everybody's all connected, good to go. Quick touch on before we get into this first of 3 match point games for Southern Miss Coca-Cola as they try to get an early start here. Our first semifinal for this tournament is confirmed already. It's the University of New Haven going up against Oklahoma Christian. Both of those teams successful in their quarterfinals. And it's Fisher College trying to bring some success back 20 seconds in. Good start here off the demo, and what a team bump.
But Kevin was in the right place and read the situation beautifully. How about that to bounce back from a major mistake? And also, Kevin bouncing back from a major mistake. If you want free fortune, or if you want just to get good, just call yourself Kevin, I think is the moral of the story. And it means that Fisher College have something to hold on to. That is a rarity across this series. And let's also have a shout out from Porsche to the Ford Mustang E, whatever, the electronic Mustang. Also, let's talk about that shot and that save. Much better for Fisher College overall.
Beautiful. Look, we've seen them display prowess along the crossbar, but doing it consistently here to keep Southern Miss out. One of those most scoreable areas. You try to send the ball there for the fact that it is precarious to take away. Now a bit of a double up offensively for Southern Miss. Astro needs to recycle here into this sequence. Zath is getting a bit caught up in all of it as well. Melodic Misery just trying to get these clears. It connects. Center pass. Melodic Misery goes top corner. And you love to see it. Astro continues to dish out dimes.
Yeah, this is one of those moments where Kevin thinks he's choosing the right plan, but actually he's inadvertently setting up Southern Miss Coca-Cola, who are already on their proverbial bikes, ready to receive whatever they're going to get out of that situation, because there's nobody retreating back quickly enough. There's no third person, or there's no person rotating quickly enough to get onto that ball back. It means that Southern Miss Coca-Cola basically has a free shot at net, and that's exactly what happened. They convert it, as we should expect at this point. A shame there from a Fisher College perspective, but there's still only 1-1. Still plenty of this game left to go.
So have to act with some sense of urgency here as Zath gets a free walk down right along that near post. It's off the side wall, and a familiar picture as all of Fisher College are way out of it, rotating every which way but the goal line. And it's a second goal for Southern Miss.
The second point still stands. There is still plenty of time. Unfortunately, that is a complete collapse from a Fisher College perspective. Just had to be a little bit more responsible. Again, giving up the ball far too easily, and now the job of scoring another goal is on them yet again. Very similar vibe to our previous game, where again Fisher College takes the lead, but they just can't find the resources or the guile to get a second one on the board. It's a flip over one for false, and the defense simply too strong by this point. It's not for the want of trying Fisher College, it's just that Southern Miss Coca-Cola, their rotations have been completely, unequivocally superb.
They have to keep that up. All three stacked at the bottom of the box. Need to make something happen quickly here as we near the halfway point, and Fisher College look for the equalizer. It does not have the pace to find its way all the way down, but the point still stands. Southern Miss have chances like that. Time in, time out. Melodic Misery, bottom of the box. Ball will not fall all the way down. Feels like Southern Miss are waiting for what feels like the inevitable to happen. It's just barely farther away than they would reach, and Fisher College need to take advantage of that misplay of the expectation where Southern Miss are just waiting for the ball to fall perfectly into their hands. It's not quite happening. Fisher College don't really change up the pace enough for that to matter. Southern Miss aren't being punished for any of those moves. They're just able to go wherever they please. The ball will maybe sometimes find them, maybe not. But hey, if it's Astro passing, the ball is going to find you, and you will score.
Fisher College lacking that balance. There was a moment earlier on where they were playing too tightly knit together, and now they were playing too wide. It was all on Kevin to make that interception, and there was no one else close to home. And Southern Miss now have that daylight, which sees them in a very comfortable spot. 2-goal lead. 2-game advantage in the series on match point, but scratch that, it's been halved. It's Kevin again stepping up to the plate.
Big jump there, awkward challenge for Zath. It plays center, and listen, you can make as many excuses as you want about the defensive pressure being felt, but a touch like that is too primed and ready for any attacker not to jump at when given the chance. That's exactly what Kevin did. Now Fisher College want a third, and it's courtesy of False. Trying to put Zath on a poster, but it's Astro to get the clear through, and then some. Connects for more and forces False to back up in that corner as Zath goes for another center pass, and Southern Miss try to cancel out Fisher College's offensive stay.
Trying to find ways out. What's the next step then? Fisher College almost walking in complete darkness with sunglasses on, it seems. They know what they want to do, but do they have the ability? Do they have the resources to do it? Do they have anything left in the tank right now to find that? Just even a goal at this stage to make it an equalizer and force an overtime would be something to hold on to, but for the moment Southern Miss Coca-Cola can just focus on what they've been doing all game long. The game plan might have conceded goals, but overall the success has been a net positive.
45 seconds now. Could be the series conclusion at this rate. Fisher College need to move, and they need to move quickly. That was risky. And nobody there to capitalize for Southern Miss. Tasek goes high up off that side wall. It's a ground pinch down, slow one at that. And False gets a good challenge. Tasek center pass. Where's Kevin? Gotta take that shot, but you're too far removed. Thought the ball would squeak out, and it did. But you had to feel like somebody could have put a hand up. That could have been the last shake. They get it to the back wall. Another bump, another shot towards the far side. But Southern Miss get potentially one more clear.
Just like my disconnection earlier, it is very, very unwanted timing here for Fisher College. Just when they were starting to get into a rhythm, time is running out, and that really is the last dagger in the back. As Southern Miss Coca-Cola, they get their protractor out, they work their angles, Zath's got a fourth, and this one's all over, Galgan.
And what a turnaround it has been, lest we forget in the previous game that ended 3-2. Southern Miss Coca-Cola a half second away from scoring their fourth. All other victories for them in this series, a multi-goal differential. They'll keep that true down to the end of Game 5, and it's a 5-game result for them, a win against the Pescados of Fisher College. What a result here for Southern Miss. A big turnaround, not like Game 1 was the most decisive and indicative of the rest of the series as it could have been. We certainly felt like there was more from Fisher College, and maybe there was, but that's a hypothetical we have to live with, because Southern Miss Coca-Cola, they found their identity quickly, they stuck to it, they owned it, and that's how they won this series.
Yeah, it speaks to me of a team Fisher College, that performance of 3 players who just need to play together a little bit more, or perhaps players who are feeling the nerves on the day. There was, like you rightly point out, a couple of moments here and there where we see a team that definitely has it and can do more with what they're given. Not saying that they were going to absolutely win this series if everything did click together. I think that Southern Miss ultimately was perhaps a bit too strong on this occasion. They landed on their feet after a number of setbacks. But yeah, I think that there's certainly a lot to go away and learn from this experience. And ultimately, it's not like they were completely blown away, Galgan. They picked up a game win. They scored a number of goals, a couple of highlight moments, a couple of moments to forget. Or should we say to learn from? You never want to forget.
Right, exactly. And as we take a look at some of the replays here for that previous match, there's so much to learn from for both teams, and there's much more to be played for as the weeks go on. This is not the end of it for either team. You're still collecting points, especially for making it to the quarterfinals, but so much of the success, again, I cannot understate how much the Southern Miss success whittled down to the passing plays, that team synergy. Astro just has such an affinity for finding these passing plays, and I know we're watching that unfortunate Zath own goal, but other than that, I mean, time and time again, it's just constantly connecting with the shot taker and doing it with pace that gave Southern Miss such an advantage in the series.
And what I love from Southern Miss is, I mean, legitimately, I talked about that complete rotation, or rather the lack thereof in game number 1, but when it gets going, oh my goodness, I really maintain my belief that there isn't a better way to set up tactically in Rocket League right now. There was no one player for me that stood out above the rest. Maybe Melodic just edging it out, but only because they were on the end of the majority of the goals in this game. I think Astro was so crucial in providing that calm head from the back. Forward transitions were a beauty to behold. And Zath was explosive, great playmaking potential, some clutch saves at the back as well. So it's a team that clearly synergizes well. It's a team that's got bags of goals in them. It's a team that, even if they're on the back foot, are not going to go away without kicking and screaming into the night. And I'm really excited to see how they progress in this tournament now. They're going to be going up against Maryville University. So on paper, that is a horrible semi-final. However, UT Dallas did take them to Game 7, so perhaps some chinks in the armor to exploit, some odds to check out before tomorrow's action.
There's plenty, I'm sure. And on the other side of the matchup, Fisher College, Pescados, I mean, there's a lot to like from them. I think what we saw in this series was the highs of the highs and the lows of the lows. There were mistakes that were made that cannot be made in tournaments like these, and I think the players felt that. But one of the biggest moments we saw, I think, was Kevin making that backflip to lose that crucial game towards the end of game number 4, and then immediately trying to rectify it with a goal being scored at the top of game number 5. It wasn't enough to take the series over the line, and our stats for the goals, I believe, are a little lopsided here. Southern Miss Coca-Cola failed to go a game without scoring at least once. By my count, they have a total of, let's do some quick math, 13 goals in those 5 games. Pescados not quite as successful, but they certainly had their fair share. It wasn't enough on the day, however. That is the end of that best of 7. It's Southern Miss Coca-Cola to take the win, advance to the semifinals 4-1, and a confident one as that relic. They'll need as much confidence as ever to face Maryville University in the semifinals tomorrow.
They will, and they're going to have a long break. They have themselves the evening. They have themselves a rest, and then they're back at it tomorrow. On the other side of the bracket, by the way, University of New Hampshire going up against OC Esports. New Hampshire taking down Rowan Professors 4-1. OC Esports taking down Terps Esports 4-0. So there are really no middle-of-the-road results. The only one that we had today was Terp Esports going up against Ohio State Grey, that ending in 4-2. Otherwise, it's been blowouts, a gentleman's sweep, or Game 7 bonanza. And that really is, for me, Collegiate in a nutshell. I'm so delighted with how the first day of the Rally Collegiate Series, also the Rally Cry Collegiate Series, I should say, has gotten up. And of course, it's only day 1 of week 1 of 5 weeks, Galg, and this is only the beginning. But the race to 100 points, the first big haul of the season, it continues tomorrow, of course.
It absolutely does. For the semifinals and the grand finals, you'll have to tune in tomorrow. We're excited to get them underway, and plenty more in store. Thank you for watching day 1 of week 1 of the Rally Cry Collegiate Series, sponsored by our friends at the U.S. Army and National Guard. We will see you all tomorrow for the semis and grand finals. Take care, everyone.